rhythm, feel the rhyme. Come on, everybody. It's camper drag time. 1, 2, 3, go.
What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things, and today we're doing the comparison that a lot of people have been asking me about ever since I have owned the Sat van and of course the Kimbo on the back of the Satlander. Now before we get into this, I want to let you guys know that this is going to be the last week to pick up any Sci gear. You can head over to sciproductions.com and check out all the things listed over there on my website. We've got jackets, hoodies, t-shirts, hats, beanies, water bottles, all sorts of stuff, and the store is going to be going offline in probably a week from today. So if you want to pick up anything for yourself or your significant other for Christmas, now is the time to do it. I've got a lot of travel coming up over the holidays, and then once I get back home, then I will of course turn the store back on, and we might have some new products coming for the new year, so stay tuned for that stuff. If you do pick anything up, I really appreciate the support.
Buy the fleece shorts.
The fleece shorts are really nice, but we're almost out of them. So I got my buddy Dave out here with me today, and he's going to be my reader. Last night I posted on Instagram and I said, what do you guys want to know about the comparing and contrasting of a Kimbo truck camper and a Sprinter van? Now I don't really feel like I need to intro these vehicles. You guys have seen them quite a lot on my channel, but if you are completely new here and you somehow stumbled across this video, welcome to the channel. I'd appreciate it if you left a like. Over here on my left hand side is my 2018-2019 Sprinter van. This originally started as a Winnebago Revel and it has since been crazy heavily modified. Over on my right hand side here is my 2021 Toyota Tacoma TRD Offroad, also highly modified, and then sitting on the back, which we're mainly going to be talking about, is a Kimbo Camper. The Kimbo itself has not really been modified all that much, but both vehicle platforms as they sit are pretty modified, and we're going to be talking about this mainly from a stock-ish vehicle perspective, but basically Dave's going to help me here and read all the questions that you guys asked, and I'm just going to answer them off the cuff in no particular order. So here are the questions. All right, I'm on the spot. Let's do it. There's quite a few, yeah.
You can take one thing from the Sprinter and put it in the Kimbo. What is it, and vice versa?
I think one of my favorite things about the Kimbo is probably the propane fireplace, the Dickinson fireplace, which I just did a video on recently. I love it because it's really efficient. It does have its pros and cons, but what I love so much about it is that it has a live flame in it. So something like that inside of the van would be super rad. And something from the van to put in the Kimbo, I guess like the full bathroom, having a shower that I don't have to set up and having a toilet would be cool, but I think there's going to be some questions here in this video that kind of will change my opinion on that, so I guess it would be nice to have those things flipped.
What is the difference in cost for mid-range models maybe, and they're recognizing the fact that options can skew the numbers?
Ooh, so this one's kind of hard to answer. This is where I'm going to be tackling this from like a stock-ish perspective. We're going to talk about, I guess, the Sprinter van first. So Sprinter chassis, built out, turnkey option. I'm just going to put a round number on it and say, like, right now in today's market, maybe $125,000 to $150,000. These things are not cheap at all. That number will obviously fluctuate, but round-ish numbers, we're going to say 125 to 150 on a Sprinter van like this. Now for the truck and the Kimbo setup, the Kimbos are going to start at around $22,000 for just the shell. You can spec them all the way up to like $40,000-ish, and then the truck that it sits on, Toyota Tacoma, maybe $40,000, maybe $45,000. So top of the range there, we're looking at maybe like $80,000 for a setup like this. But the Kimbo can also go on a bunch of different trucks, and you can obviously modify them like these are both sitting right now. A lot of people think the Kimbo is like super expensive, but you can get just the shell for pretty cheap, and then you can build it out yourself. So this is definitely, for the most part, going to be the cheaper option. And I mean, they both are good at different things.
The thing is, like, people don't understand, you can just go on Facebook Marketplace and buy a $20,000 truck and throw a camper on top of it, and you're doing way better than you don't have to buy a brand new truck and put a camper on top of it.
No, you don't. This could be significantly cheaper. Like, you could put this on a super old Tacoma, and then you're just paying for the cost of the camper.
You just need a six and a half foot bed. Go out and buy a
6 foot bed.
Oh yeah, 6. Just go out and buy a $20,000 truck and put a camper on top of it. You're in for 40 grand.
That's it.
If you had to choose one, which one would you live in? What are the pros and cons?
Ooh, this one I get asked a lot about. They're like, if you could only keep one, which would you pick? So if I was living in one, like full-time living, obviously the van is going to be the easier option for that, which I did. I lived in this vehicle for like 2.5 years. I learned a lot while living small, minimally on the road. So the van is probably going to be the easiest option to live in for most people. However, the Kimbo is also very livable. You're just going to sacrifice a few more things, and there's definitely going to be some more questions where I talk about this topic, but the van is probably easier to live in from like a complete newbie standpoint.
If you could somehow attach the Kimbo to the van, would you? And what would you call it? The Vanbo? Question mark?
The Vanbo. That would be sick. Like, I absolutely love the build quality and material choices on the Kimbo. Most vans, unless you're going with like a super custom builder, are going to feel more like RV feeling, whereas the Kimbo feels hand built because they are, and it feels like more organic. So I'm not saying this is going to happen at all, but it would be so sick if the Kimbo like floor plan and everything was designed into a Sprinter van, because it would be super cool. So putting the Kimbo on a van, obviously not super possible, but if you could like build out a van to do that, that would be rad. And yeah, I'd probably call it the Vanbo.
Next question is about gas mileage comparison.
Oh boy, I get this one asked a lot. I've done videos on like both of what these gas mileages kind of look like. Overall, I mean, it really is situational. It depends on where you're driving, how fast you're driving, if you're on the highway, if you're on back roads, if you're out on some trails. I would say generally the van gets a little bit better gas mileage. It is a V6 turbo diesel, so it's burning diesel, where this of course is 6-cylinder gasoline engine. With everything loaded up, I would kind of put like a ballpark number on it. Driving the van around town, you're probably looking at like 14 to 16 miles per gallon. On the highway, that's going to go down a little bit. I would say on the highway, if you're cruising at like 75, 80 miles an hour, you're gonna be looking at 12 to 14 in the van. And then the Kimbo, when you're driving around on back roads or in town, 13 to 15, so a little bit less on that. And then when you're on the highway with the Kimbo, you're taking a huge hit because this thing is just kind of like a big sail. So Kimbo is not great on the highway when it comes to gas mileage, so I think the van would win the whole gas mileage debate.
Which one is more top heavy?
Yeah, a lot of people think that like both these vehicles are top heavy, but the way the van is designed, a lot of the weight is down low. It's a very tall vehicle, but obviously fridge, batteries, and everything are down low. And it's sort of the same thing with the Kimbo. The fridge, the batteries, and everything is sort of in line with the cab of the truck. So I don't think either of them really feel like top heavy or tippy unless you're really getting into some like off-camber trails. The suspension setup on each of these is a little bit different too, so you feel more body roll in the truck because this is like the temporary way I have the truck set up. Neither of them really feel tippy. I think that's how I'm gonna answer that question. What we got next?
Why?
Why what?
Does the Kimbo fit Dave's big forehead, or is that why he's staying in the van?
Yeah, so I just filmed a video where I loaned Dave the van. What did you think of the van?
Actually, I really like the van. It's very spacious.
Spacious.
Rachel and I fit in there really well, and having the cooktop was awesome. And if we could have used your toilet, that would have been.
Yeah, I don't have water in the van right now, but it's nice to have like all your home amenities while still being outside. So I think Dave's head fits better in the van. Let's
do you have a snapshot of that?
Yeah, let's actually do a quick comparison here. Let's see how your head fits in the Kimbo first. Watch yourself. You don't want to cut that thing. It's a lot of real estate. I'd say it fits in there pretty decently.
Yeah, I'd say so. Fits in here too.
Yeah, your head fits in there for sure.
I think they're both about the same height on the inside, as far as forehead goes.
Yeah, no one asked that, but the Kimbo on the inside is like 6'3", 6'4" to the ceiling, and it's probably pretty similar.
Yeah. Nice comparison.
Yeah, so I think the van is better suited for you.
Cross-country road trip, specifically in the summer, which one are you taking?
You could do either, but when you're talking cross country, like I just talked about with the gas mileage, the van is going to be better. We're actually leaving for a road trip here in a week or 2 weeks, and we're heading back to the East Coast from here in Colorado. So the van's better on the highway for gas mileage. And then if you're talking about the summer specifically, my van has a 12 volt low profile air conditioner unit that doesn't need shore power because I have a ton of lithium in this thing, so I can stay really cool in there. The Kimbo, a lot of people think like it would get super hot in the summer, and it really depends on where you're at. I've actually done a whole video on how to stay cool in a van because there's more than just like having a power system and air conditioning. So the Kimbo, if you know how to like live and travel and stuff like this, it doesn't get like super hot where you're gonna die. I had an AC option in there that only ran on shore power. Of course, I took all that out. So cross-country road trip in the summertime, just because it's cross-country, I'm gonna pick the van.
How tall is the Kimbo versus the Sat van?
The van is this tall and the Kimbo is this tall. So I actually tried measuring it before, but it's kind of hard to measure because the high spots on both of these is kind of like in the center. The way the truck sits, I mean, my truck is highly modified, so it's sitting taller than a regular truck. It depends on what truck you're putting the Kimbo on. Right now, my van from the ground up until the solar panels is sitting at about 10 foot 2 inches. My WeBoost antenna, which is kind of messed up and like crooked right now, from the ground to the top of that when it's actually sitting tall is roughly 10 feet 10 inches. The Kimbo is very similar in height when sitting on my specific truck. The high point on the Kimbo is going to be the top of the fan. I would say the top of the fan from the ground is maybe like 10.2 to 10.4. It depends how inflated I have my airbags in the rear. The airbags actually lift the truck up like a solid 2, 3, maybe almost 4 inches if I have them all the way pumped up. So they're very comparable in height.
Which one do you find more comfortable and livable?
This is another question that I get asked about a lot. More livable would be the van, kind of for the reasons that I talked about. More comfortable though, definitely the Kimbo. So I'm gonna give the win to the Kimbo on this one. The Kimbo on the inside is so damn comfortable. The mattress in there, the fireplace, the open layout, just the way things are designed. The soft like Alcantara type of walls on there, it's quiet, it's warm. The Kimbo is just super comfortable. Not saying that the van is not comfortable at all. Obviously, it's fine. I've lived in it for a while, but it doesn't have that like homey feeling to it. So the Kimbo is way more comfortable, but if you're actually going to live out of it and you just want to go quick, the van is going to be more livable.
Comparing the off-roading capabilities of each rig as far as handling, weight, etc.
So weight-wise, the truck and Kimbo setup on my specific setup is going to weigh a lot less than the van. The van is obviously pretty damn heavy. When it comes to off-roading, the truck, basically most trucks, even a completely stock truck, is going to handle off-road situations better than the van. The four-wheel drive system on the Mercedes Sprinter is great, and I've of course taken this thing off-road time and time again, just traveling all over the country. The truck just does it better. It can get places a little bit further, quicker, smoother, so the truck and Kimbo kind of win for like off-road ability. Both of them do it okay. Of course, you're going to be limited with height and trails and stuff like that. The truck has better suspension for articulation. Again, it's going to be going back to the whole like tippy thing. If you're on a really off-camber trail, they both can feel like a little bit top-heavy when really they're not. I don't know what the actual like breakover angle would be, but truck with the Kimbo on it is going to be a little bit better off-road.
Which one is easier to cook in?
Easier to cook in, I guess the van, because I've added a microwave to it and it has a ton of power on there. I actually don't cook inside of the Kimbo just because I don't want to create any condensation. If you're boiling water and like cooking chicken or steak or something inside of a small space like that, it's not great. I honestly don't even really like using the stovetop in my van. I have used it a lot, but if I had the choice, I would prefer to cook outside. So I guess it's going to be easier in the van. I could cook outside of the van, I just don't very often.
Which one is easier to clean? I guess inside and out.
Kimbo. Kimbo is definitely easier to clean on the inside because it's a open floor space and it's smaller overall. The van has a lot of like nooks and crannies and stuff like that, and it's just bigger, so it takes longer to clean. For the outside, I haven't really like cleaned the outside of the Kimbo. The thing has,
It's like,
it looks weathered because it is. So a lot of people are like, oh, how are you gonna keep that thing clean? Are you gonna like brush the aluminum and stuff like that? And I don't have any plans on doing that because it looks weathered. I mean, my truck's weathered. I use both these vehicles a lot. So when they're dirty on the outside, I don't really care all that much. Both of the vehicles themselves are wrapped, which kind of protects everything underneath. The van is specifically difficult to clean because it's so tall. Like if I'm scrubbing the outside of it, generally the van is gonna be clean from like here down. Anything above that and it's not gonna be super clean. I haven't even like scrub the outside of the Kimbo just because who cares? I don't care. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I have a pressure washer, but I have not pressure washed the outside other than just like a car wash, so Kimbo's easier to clean.
how much of a pain is crawling into the Kimbo versus being able to just be in the van at all times?
A lot of people think it's a pain, but it's really not. With my setup, I have to open my C4 swing, drop the tailgate, and hop up there. I typically carry a ladder with me, like a little step stool type of thing to hop up on the tailgate. So it doesn't bother me. Obviously, when I park the van wherever, I just turn the seat or just stand up and then I'm in the van. So for like low-key camping, stealth camping, the van's gonna be easier. I mean, that's not stealth camping, but the van is gonna be easier to just kind of turn around and do whatever you have to do. It's not much of a pain to get into the Kimbo, honestly. So getting into the Kimbo kind of feels more like camping because you're like disconnected from the cab. I spend more time outside when I am in the Kimbo just because it's smaller, cook outside, but yeah, it's not that bad.
Which one is faster?
You would say the truck is faster?
Yeah.
I think the van is faster. It really depends. So when Dave was driving the van 2 days ago, he was struggling a little bit to like come up the hills. We're in higher altitude. We're at like maybe 8, 9, maybe 10,000 feet. I don't even think we got up that high, but there's turbo lag, so you have to like constantly be on the throttle. The van is a lot heavier. If you are at a baseline, like right now we're at about 6,000 feet. If we lined both of these up and took off from a line, I think the van would initially pull ahead just because of that like turbo surge. I have a pedal controller on there and it's tuned. It makes 100 more horsepower and 80 more foot-pounds of torque over stock. Depends on how they're loaded up, like how much gear I have in them. I think the van would be quicker off the line because of the turbo, but the truck, just like driving around town and daily driving, is a little more practical.
Let's see if maybe we can throw a clip in of a little
Of a drag race?
a little drag race at the end of this.
I don't think we're gonna throw that clip in.
Let's throw a clip in.
Okay.
Run the clip.
How many horses that thing got?
How many horses? I have no idea. Give me a 3 count, a 3 beat with the European horn.
Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. Come on, everybody. It's camper drag time. 1, 2, 3, go.
All right, the truck in Kimbo is a little bit faster.
All right, round 1 was not good. Round 2, ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah, not close. I guess the truck is faster. I mean, they're both slow, is what it comes down to. So, there's that.
All right, Talon, last question. What looks cooler?
That's it? What looks cooler?
Yep. Though, actually, it technically says though. Can you toss that up on the screen for them?
Yeah, they're popping up
What
here.
looks cooler, though?
What looks cooler, though? This is going to be, I mean, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. A lot of people think the Kimbo is super ugly, which, I mean, I get it. I think it looks rad. I think it looks really cool, especially like from the back on the truck. I really like the way this looks. The van looks just, I mean, I haven't met a single person who's like, wow, that van's ugly. I could see you not liking the wrap, but it's just crazy. Overall, I think the van, from the general public, people would say that that looks better. I think it's pretty damn even in my eyes. I don't know. Like when I look at these vehicles, each one of them does something very specific for me. Depending on where I'm going, what I'm doing, I'm going to choose either one of these vehicles. And that was basically the whole point of this video. I left out a lot of the questions of people asking like, if you could only have one, which would it be? If you had to sell one of these, which one would you sell? I'm luckily in a position where I don't have to do that. I don't have to think about that, and that's why I'm not answering that question. But hopefully this gave you guys some insight on some questions and comparisons between truck campers and Sprinter vans. And maybe if you're looking to get into this whole kind of world, hopefully this answered some questions and helped you guys out. You got any questions, Dave? Yeah, why don't you say the camera?
So Rachel and I don't really camp, but we had an opportunity to go out in Talon's van, and it's really fun, and it sparks the conversation between Rachel and I, like, do we want to get into this, and how do we want to do it? Do we want like a tow behind? Do we want something like a camper like the Kimbo, or do we want a van? I think ultimately Rachel said that, well, for her, she wanted a van because she wants the ability to have more amenities inside and a little bit more space. Now I'm going to be out of pocket for a...
So you don't have to like have this stuff to go out and camp. I talk about this all the time in videos. I got to get you guys to come out here in the summertime when we can take Ashley's 4Runner in my truck and go tent camping.
Yeah.
Which I know Rachel is like super against.
Yeah, she's not.
But I guarantee you it's going to be super fun. And like my specific tent has an air mattress in it. It has tri-layer material, so it's super warm. So you don't need to have this stuff to get outside and go camping and enjoy the outdoors. It helps. I mean, it definitely helps. I've done ground tent camping videos, spending $100 at Walmart and just going out. So cool. Well, that's all that I had for today's video. Again, you guys can go pick up some jackets. We're matching right now.
I just slapped it with my busted finger.
This is nice. If you guys want to see our like quick behind the scenes kind of camping video when Dave and Rachel were testing that out, he cut the tip of his finger off with an axe. You can check out that video in the corner right there where his broken finger is. So that's all for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you're new here, consider clicking subscribe. I make new videos every week. As always, thanks for watching. Talk to you in the next one.